Hey everybody, I want to chat with you guys a little bit today about something I see added a lot on social media, and I see a lot of people in the fitness world or in various diet groups who discuss these things, make memes, make posts about blaming the food pyramid for obesity and disease. And what people need to understand, even what's been adjusted to now, my plate, is not even that far from the food pyramid. And the issue with it is that this is all based upon the data, what we know, how the human body works. So this whole idea that the food pyramid was somehow bad, when the only thing that's really changed in the best recommendations is, maybe a bit more vegetables, right? Literally, that's all that's changed. So when people start blaming the food pyramid, they're like, oh, so, you'll be eating tons of refined carbohydrates and sugar on the food pyramid. And when people say that, they've clearly never looked at the food pyramid, okay? Because it's always the base was starches, right? Starches were the basis of it, and that's generally going to be, grains, tubers, things like that. Root vegetables, grains, stuff like that. That is starches. And the data is showing that these things don't cause body fat and they're not correlated with body fat gains or obesity is actually pretty good around the world. So therein lay the problem, is that people are interpreting that starch base to include tons of refined sugars, which is a strange jump because it means they never actually looked at the pyramid. And you would expect that. We see that with diet zealots, people who hold these extreme views on diet, whether it's some carnivore or like a keto zealot. And I'm not saying keto diets can't have their place, by the way, but there's a difference between being a zealot about it and just saying, yeah, they can be a useful tool. There's a big difference between that. But when you identify as a keto person, you're now taking it to the point of a religion and zealotry. And pretty much any extreme diet, these people are not basing things on reality and facts. They really aren't. So when you look at the food pyramid, when they're saying that, that they're full of it. They've clearly not read it. Okay, because the next tier up then on it is then fruits and vegetables, right? Then it's protein sources, mostly animal protein sources, is the next tier up, right? And that's where you see all your meat, your fish, some legumes and beans get put into there, right? Nuts get thrown into that category too. Notice that anything that has a lot of fat in it is thrown into that tier up. Most of your best protein sources. Here's the only real exception any of us should have with any of this so far. Certain people who need to get really lean, like if you're chasing serious body composition goals, yes, some of those lean proteins you may want those to be a much, much larger percentage of your diet. But for people who are not attempting to do that, they're not chasing serious body composition goals. If you're just trying to be healthy, there's no need to do that. Now, I don't eat that way, obviously, because I eat a lot more protein. I'm working on body composition, working on getting leaner these days, all these things. So protein takes a much, much larger role in my own diet. So it is probably down there with the starches. Like I would probably put them side by side for me personally, or people with those extreme goals. But the food pyramid was not written for bodybuilders. The food pyramid was not written for weight class powerlifters, right? People who objectively need to be very lean with as much muscle as they can fit in at any given body weight. Okay? That's not who it's written for. It's written for the average person who just wants to be at a healthy body fat. For men, that's about 15% body fat. Women, about 25%. And it's perfectly acceptable for that. You have no trouble following the guidelines that are there and getting to those goals easily. Easily. But yeah, that next tier, there's all your protein, most of your healthy fats, right? Your meat, dairy, eggs, most of the legumes, nuts. A lot of those, they're right there. That's where they sit. And then the next tier up is the things that you should eat in the smallest amounts. And keep in mind, I tend to hold most of these things should be near zero. So the stuff they put at the tip of the pyramid, if you understand basic healthy diets, you will understand that those things should be moderated or even be taken all the way down to zero. They could be taken to zero. and your health would be perfectly fine for it. These are things that are optional in your diet. They should be treated as in moderation to zero. And that is refined sugars, refined oils, added fats like butter, alcohol. Okay? That's the stuff that goes on the tip of the pyramid. Now, when you'll see people who are kooky zealots and they say the food pyramid is wrong, you should flip it the other way. What they are saying, they're not talking about the third tier should be dominant, because that's usually what they mean. But if you flip it over and were to invert everything, then they're saying that your diet should be comprised mostly of refined sugars, refined fats, and alcohol. So basically, you should be living on table sugar, butter, and whiskey, is what they are saying if they say the food pyramid should be flipped, should be reversed, because that's the tip. That's the stuff that's supposed to be moderated. And that is the stuff that we know, we, the human race, anyone who's scientifically literate and can read data, we know the stuff on the tip is what makes people fat and sick. Refined sugars, refined fats, and that includes butter. So all the keto people, you're promoting garbage if you're telling people to eat butter, and alcohol. So the problem is, again, when people attack the food pyramid, they try to pretend that it's refined sugars down at the base. And if they tell you to flip it, it should be all reversed. And they're really actually telling you to do what they tell you shouldn't be doing and be eating tons of refined sugars, because that's the only way to flip the pyramid. That tip is the bad stuff. And we know that. I would go so far as to say everything in the tip should probably comprise less than 10% of your diet, and ideally closer to 0% of your diet. Right? We don't need butter, vegetable oils, refined sugars, or alcohol. These are not things that we need in our diet. They have no health benefits to us. Quite the opposite. So again, when people blame the food pyramid, it's like, guys, potatoes aren't making people fat. Like, people aren't getting fat from eating potatoes and broccoli. So if you have a problem with the food pyramid, that's what you're saying. And the truth is, even white rice has never been correlated with obesity at the population level. Ever. So again, complete nonsense. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.